Hello, and it's time to continue our Andromeda Six story. This is still episode 8. If you guys missed the previous episode, I'm gonna leave a link in the top right corner. But let's continue. Tomorrow arrives much too quickly. Pulling myself from the comfort of the bed, the one that I've just slept in for the very last time, I haul myself to the bathroom, intending to wash off the last remnants of sleep in the shower. And yes, this is our last day on Teleran. I think after we filmed we did the live stream yesterday in game, like talking to all the people of Seliota, and then Zovac interrupted us with his own live stream. I think what's gonna happen afterwards, we're gonna start the actual attacks on Zovac. So we're gonna attack Ren. After we get them, we're gonna get the doctor, and then we're gonna get Zovac himself. I think that is the plan that we have set into motion. So June had spent the night and we had already said goodbye so he could head to his room and pack. The best thing about leaving this place and dragging myself back to the Andromeda 6 is knowing that he'll be there waiting for me. After finishing up in the bathroom, it's time for me to collect my things and get out of here. We can say I throw my clothes in my bag or I pack my things neatly. I would pack my things neatly. I'm more of a neat packer, I would say. I take the time to fold my things neatly, utilizing all the pockets and compartments to ensure everything is in its proper place. It'll all be unpacked pretty quickly once I get back to my room on the ship, but until then I want to know where everything is in case I need it at a short notice. I also have to admit to myself that I've done a little too much shopping while here on Teleran, but through some clever organization I managed to fit everything in okay. With everything packed and ready to go, I take one last look around the room. I'm going to miss it here. The circular, nest-like bed most of all, and the smell of water lilies that perfumes the air. I gotta say, this room is very beautiful. It's really cozy, but in a luxurious way. Oh, and the 24/7 room service, and the holo TV, and the heated floors, and the breathtaking views, and... Okay, I think it's time to go before I decide to stay forever. With one final look at the room, I force myself to close the door and head out. I make my way to the lobby, heading towards the connected landing pad where the Andromeda 6 awaits. As I hurry past the lake, dodging Telari and rebel soldiers alike, I get the sinking feeling that I'm the last one to arrive. Most of the crew I can see in the distance, loading supplies onto the dock of the ship. I smile at the sight of it. While Teleran has been great, I've come to associate the A6 with the feeling of home, and I'm looking forward to getting back to that. Oh, also, I'm not sure what we're gonna choose. I'm pretty certain that at one point we're gonna have the choice between going back on Goldis with Narissa and or staying with the Andromeda 6 crew. And I'm not sure which one to pick because on one hand, everyone on the Andromeda 6 crew has their own specialty and we don't have one. So I'm not sure how we can be useful. We do have this guise of a navigator role, but we haven't really been doing that much. But back on Goldis, if we go with Narissa and be her heiress, we can be useful in the political sense. We can like make our name that way. So I'm not sure exactly what we're gonna do. Leave me a comment if you have any preference on that. So, I spot Nerissa and June talking together and suddenly my feet stop moving. People hurry around me and I know I'm in their way, but I can't force myself to move any further. Their conversation seems relaxed, but neither of them are smiling. What are they talking about? Are they talking about me? Oh no. If I know my sister, she's bound to be giving him some sort of warning. I can only hope that she's leaving any threats well out of it. We can approach them, or leave them, or eavesdrop. I'm gonna approach them. Deciding it's probably best to just bite the bullet, I adjust the bag on my shoulder and head their way. Hey, what are you two talking about? I was thanking June for his intel on the Orionite trials. Kadar, Kay, and I are very grateful for it. I'm just happy I could help in some way, Your Majesty. You can call me Nerissa. I hope we'll see each other again soon. Me too. Nerissa leaves us with a nod, and June turns to me with a sheepish smile. I'm really glad I've gotten the chance to know your sister better. Between you and her, I feel like a total a-hole for judging your family so harshly. Hey, it's okay. I won't hold it against you. How's Dizzy? All packed up and ready to go? He's safe in his enclosure. It took a little while to wrestle him into it. I don't think he's too happy to leave this place. I chuckled quietly at the thought of June wrestling the tiny lizard into his cage. I'm sure it was no easy feat. I think I know how he feels. Hopefully, the three of us will come back here one day. We can make it into a family holiday. That sounds like fun, June says. I laugh as he slips his hand into mine, and together we head over to where the ship awaits us. Heading over to where everyone is saying their goodbyes feels bittersweet, especially so when we're saying farewell and knowing that what we're heading out to do. Our mission is dangerous, one we might not return from. But what other choice do we have? I'm greeted with a chorus of good mornings as I approach the ship. Kadar and Kay are both here, and Eldred too, though there are no signs of the Cursons or Oppo, which makes me a little sad. Heavy footsteps echo to my left as someone brushes past me, and I watch as Vex approaches Calderon, a bag held in one hand and his rifle in the other. Captain Lynch? Cal turns at the sound of his title, raising an eyebrow and giving Vex a wary look. I hope he won't be too hard on him. Having once been on the receiving end of his suspicion, I know how it feels. I'd like to request to accompany you and the crew to Goddess. Vex speaks, his voice unwavering, and I take the chance to look him over. He looks good, healthy. He had been discharged from the hospital yesterday, I know that much. Apparently their treatments had been a success, and all that remained was to keep him monitored to ensure it stayed that way. The hospital has given me clearance, he says, and Ryona has agreed to monitor my condition. Cal shoots Ryona a sharp look, who gives him a stern glare of her own, and I know this is her way of vouching for Vex. I can help you take down Ren, and I'll do my part on the ship. Anything you ask. I just need a chance to make things right. Calderon looks my way, and I give him a small nod. Vex is right. His help would be invaluable when it comes to facing Ren. Any trouble, Seraph, and I'm booting you out of the airlock myself. Understood. Cal hesitates only a second more before he nods, his shoulders squaring as he approves the request. Welcome to the crew, Vex. He extends a hand and Vex shakes it firmly, a small smile plastered on his face. Thank you, Captain. Vex smiles at me and I expect to watch him board the ship, the newest member of our crew, but instead he stops in front of my sister, his face turning grim. Oh! Kyle became red, like all of his panels have turned into red. Kyle steps in between them, his light flashing red in warning. Nerissa places a gentle hand on the bot's arm that has him stepping aside with a huff of annoyance. It's alright, Kay. Nerissa, Vex says. I just need to say that again, that I'm sorry. That I'll tell you that every day for the rest of my life if that's what it takes. I can't change what happened, but I can stand by both you and Kiki now. I can help make things right. I want to, if you'll let me. Nerissa looks him over, considering his words. Though they used to be friends, that was all torn apart when Vex was corrupted by Zovak and the Doctor. But now that his mind is well on the way to being mended, perhaps other wounds can start to heal too. I forgive you, Vex. For both of our sakes, I forgive you. She extends a hand and takes his own, and for the first time in what feels like forever, they smile at each other. Something loosens inside my stomach, some knot that I had hardly known was there. Thank you, Anne. Vex walks past me, at last making his way to the ship, and inclines his head as he smiles. I'll see you in there, Princess. I nod and return his smile, watching him approach the ship with a feeling that this is where he's supposed to be. This is where he belongs, with us. He's almost made it the entire way across the landing before Kay calls out after him, clearly unable to hold himself back. If you hurt her again, I'll cut you into ribbons, and I'll take my time about it. Noted. Embarrassing. Nerissa and I exchange a look, both of us trying to contain our eye rolls as best as we can while Kay stalks away to sulk. And it's now that I know it's time to say goodbye. After saying farewell to Eldred, Kadar, and Kay, I stop in front of my sister, who smiles at me softly. Well, little one, looks like it's time. She steps in to hug me, squeezing me tight in her arms while I breathe in the familiar scent of her perfume. Blue wisteria, jasmine, and pink grapefruit. I don't think it's something I'll ever forget. I'm so proud of you, she says. She whispers quietly before she pulls back to look at me, her hands on my arms and tears pooling in her eyes. Be careful, please. And look after the crew, won't you? I will. We'll look after each other. Her lower lip trembles as she smiles at me, reluctant to let me go, and for the first time she seems to be at a loss for words. We'll see each other soon, Rissa, I promise. She nods as she hugs me one last time, tears spilling over her cheeks and shimmering on her skin. I let my eyes close, remembering the moment. I love you, little one. I love you too. Finally, I follow the crew and head onto the ship, the familiar scent of metal and grease making me smile as we close the door to the docks and start to prepare ourselves for takeoff. The first thing I do is head to my room and drop off my bags before making my way towards the bridge to set up navigation for the trip. Oh, so we are doing some navigation now. That's interesting because, again, I said earlier we don't have a specialization like everyone else, but that's not to say that we can't learn to do stuff around the ship and to be helpful. So maybe we can stay on the ship. I'm just wondering what would be the best course of action for us, and I'm not sure we'll get more information to inform that decision right before we get it. We get to make the choice, but we'll see. So definitely tell me specifically what you would like to pick because I'm torn between the two options. So I head through the corridor, stopping suddenly when I run into a figure standing by the large window and looking out at the planet. Cal? Calderon starts as though he hadn't noticed me there until I had spoken his name. Sorry, you go ahead to the bridge, I'll be there in a moment. I nod slowly, but something about him seems off. The tone of his voice, the set of his shoulders. Something about it makes me hesitate. I'll go if you want me to, but if you need to talk about anything, I'm here to listen. He sighs sharply, his face falling as he turns away from me and back towards the window. I don't want you to see me this way. I'm supposed to be the captain. You don't have to be the captain all the time. Sometimes it's okay to just be you. I place a hand on his arm and he sighs again, hesitating to speak. I thought I could handle it, returning to Goddess. But He cuts himself short, and it's only now that I see his hands are shaking. I'm afraid to go back, he says. We can say I'm afraid too, or I'm not surprised. Or we can say I didn't think you were afraid of anything. I'm gonna say I'm afraid too, because first of all, we are afraid because that's where the coup happened, where the whole scary freaking attack happened. And second of all, it's gonna breathe some confidence maybe into him that he's not alone, that he's not the only one feeling this way, yada yada yada. So I'm gonna say I'm afraid too. I think it's normal, Cal. After everything you've been through, it's nothing to be ashamed of. He lets out a breath and attempts a grateful smile, but I'm not so sure that my words are having much of an effect on him. I just have so many memories of the place. Bad ones. I can hardly remember anything good. I'm afraid that when I step foot on the planet, I won't be able to stop myself from breaking down. There's so many places on Goris that remind me of them. Jasper and Sela. I told you I was framed for the murder of Lord Oberon. I was betrayed by the people I loved. Jasper was my best friend. We grew up together as close as brothers. He lets out a sound, a bitter kind of laugh. I say nothing, instead giving him time to speak. When we met Sela, things changed. She was a singer in the Gold District and I fell in love with her. Oh! She was beautiful and charming, but I know now that it was all an act. She was working for Zovak. Cal shakes his head and rolls his eyes as though embarrassed by the fact. I can't blame him, really. She sounds like a nasty piece of work. When she realized she couldn't get what she wanted from me, she set her sights on Jasper. But they plotted behind my back for me to take the fall for the murder. I was stirring things up in Bronze, trying to make changes. I made it easy for them. I could deal with Sela's betrayal, but Jasper? He laughs again, a cold sound that makes me want to shiver, and by the grimace on his face I can see how deep the cut goes. I was stupid. Just a stupid, lowly pawn who played right into their hands. We can say, it's not your fault, or chin up, Captain, or look at all that's happened since then. Yeah, I'm gonna say that. Look at all that's happened since then. Yes, they hurt you, and yes, they betrayed your trust, but look at all that's happened since then. You have a crew who respects you, friends who love you. None of us would have met if things hadn't happened exactly as they did, and I think that's something, no matter how small, to be grateful for. I stand beside him at the window and look out at the planet, thinking about what we've been through. You're a great captain, and an even better friend. Just remember that the sooner we stop Zovak, the sooner you'll be reunited with your parents. And I don't know about you, but I'm looking forward to the Lynch family reunion. I'm guessing that your mamas know how to throw a hell of a party. I smile at him, and this time when he laughs, it warms something in me. It's true, they do. That's something to keep fighting for. I'll help you fight for it. Thank you, Kiki, he says. You're right, this is worth fighting for. See, you'll get through this. He nods, but something strange flashes across his face, and I can tell that the hurt runs deep. Well, we should head to the bridge. Aya's been impatient to get the ship in the air. She'll probably start yelling if we take much longer. Oh, you're scared of her, huh? Have you seen her where she yells? That that stuff would scare anyone. We fall into a step beside each other, heading to the bridge when we find the crew waiting, and as predicted, Ayame on the verge of sending out a search party for us. I slip into my seat and pull up my console, plotting a route to safely take us into the atmosphere and past the planet's rings before sending it over to Aya's navigation system. God, it feels good to be in the seat again. Aya whoops as she guides the ship out into orbit, and then she slows it down, giving us one last glimpse of the planet we're leaving behind us. So, our baby has received some upgrades, courtesy of Eldred and the Teleri. We'll be hitting hyperspeed until we reach the Catalfan ruins. Hyperspeed is quick as hell, but it'll drain us dry if we're not careful. She taps a few controls on the console in front of her as she speaks, looking completely in her element. We'll refuel on the space station Astro. Kadar has alerted their contacts. We'll also be meeting up with Alyssa and Zane to go over our strategy. They're leading an advanced unit of their own. Oh, so that's why they weren't there to say goodbye, and here I thought they were just being rude. From there we head straight on to Goddess. Everyone strapped in? Yes, Ryona says. Damon, no. Ready to go. Ready. Yep. Yes. Let's get going already. Aya laughs as she grips the controls, fingers poised and ready to send us to our final destination. Goldis, here we come. I close my eyes and take in a deep breath as Aya engages the thrusters and we launch into hyperspeed. Goddess, here we come. And that was the end of episode 8, but we're continuing on to the next episode. Episode 9. Goddess.gif? GIF or GIF? What do you guys say? I say GIF. Oh, and our room has even more decorations on it, or around it, in it. My bedroom, it appears, is not well equipped for hyperspeed. After having just entered to find my belongings strewn all over the place, I'm forced to ignore it as I wobble on unsteady legs towards my bed. It appears that I'm not all that well equipped for hyperspeed either. I drop down into the tussled covers on my bed with a sigh of relief. The jump to the Catalfan ruins has left me feeling lightheaded, and after being given some anti-nausea medicine from Ryona, I've been instructed to take it easy. The rest of the crew had fared well enough with the warp-like speed, which only adds to my embarrassment, though I've been assured it's not uncommon to feel ill during your first time. It takes a little while, but once the room seems to have stopped spinning, I push myself up to survey the damage and finding it's not as bad as I had originally thought. My books had toppled over, and the rocks I picked up on the Ryan have ended up in different corners of the room, including Bob Moss, who I find suspiciously nestled in one of my boots. Luckily, the I Love Cursa mug I swapped from the Crimson Dusk barracks is in one piece, and the plant Ryona gave me a while ago was safely secured to the shelf. I picked up a couple of new plants while on Telaran. One of them is a special hover planter that was engineered to stay upright at all times. The other one was a recommendation from Damon, a hanging plant with clusters of pretty pink flowers. Though, by the way, he was smirking when I brought it aboard, I think it might be wise to check with Ryona exactly what it is. Maybe it's a poisonous plant. I sigh, crossing my arms and looking around. While it was nice to spend some time on Telaran, it's good to be back in my own room. The thought makes me pause suddenly. My room. I glance around at the knickknacks and souvenirs I've used to decorate this place, and I feel safe here. I feel at home. The trip to Goddess won't be easy, but I have too much to fight for to turn away now. And far too much to lose. We've made it to the space station Astra. Our next step is to meet with Alyssa and Zane and devise a plan for Godis. Almost as soon as I've thought it, an alert goes off on my holopath from the group chat, notifying everyone that the Cursons are now on board. Unable to put it off, I slip on my boots and leave the coziness of my room behind as I make my way to the bridge. I arrive on the bridge to find the crew already gathered, and when adding Zane and Alyssa to the mix, it's a bit of a tight fit. We can keep behind the others or head to the front of the group. I'm gonna head to the front of the group, maybe take on a little bit of a more of a lead. Squeezing my way past June and Ryona, I find a spot with the captain and his second in command, the two of them giving me a nod and greetings as I arrive. Sweet ride you've got here. Got space for two extra crew members? Zane asks. In your dreams, Rodriguez. You're sucking up all the air as it is. Don't act like you're getting up close and personal, Reznor, and ask for the sucking. Yeah, we get it. If you do want to flirt, do it on your own time. Jealous, Captain? We've got business to attend to. Zane smirks to himself before his sharp honey brown eyes land on me. Well, well, here she is, the little Pegasi. Huh? That was an interesting speech you gave back on Teleran. Alyssa speaks nonchalantly, but I don't miss the disapproval behind her words. I can tell they're both pissed. I know it's not what you wanted to hear, but it's what I believe in. I wasn't going to stand in front of that camera and lie. Why not? The Pegasi have been doing it for generations. Enough. While you're on my ship, I'll thank you not to disrespect my crew. Alyssa sighs at the wording, but she relents with the wave of a hand. If we're lucky, we have time to squabble between ourselves after Zovak has been taken care of. I'll admit that right now we have more important things to discuss. Agreed. So what's the plan? It's simple, in theory. While your crew is dealing with Ren, we're taking the best fighters from our clans to take down the Doctor. What? Vex leans forward, hands shaking at his sides as his face goes pale. Didn't think we'd forget about him, did ya? Alyssa asks. But you, Seraph, are exactly why this assignment was given to us. Nerissa thought it would be better this way. Less emotions involved, if you know what I mean. Vex grits his teeth, but he gives a relenting nod, and I know he understands. I wish I could do it myself, but I hope you give that bastard nothing less than what he deserves. That's the plan. Vex says nothing else, but I can see he looks shaken. I watch as he turns towards Damon, who claps a reassuring hand on his shoulder and whispers a few words. We'll head out tomorrow, after dark. There's a curfew in effect, which will make it easier to pass through the districts unnoticed. We'll need to land on the transport depot with the Silver District. Thanks to Cal and Diana, we have allies within the guard who will disable any alerts on our ships and get us safely into the districts. From there, we split up and seek out our targets. Where will we find them? Ren has been seen patrolling the Gold District with their squad after curfew, while the Doctor has set up shop in one of the old factories in Bronze. Rumor is that he's scrambling brains again and he's using prisoners of war as his guinea pigs. We need to put a stop to it, and fast. And there's one more thing. Our intelligence shows that Zovak is working on the blueprints that were stolen from Teleran. He's attempting to build a weapon like nothing we've seen before. Potentially one that could wipe out an entire planet. A cold chill goes through me. Could such a weapon ever exist? And if it did, what good could ever come out of it? Why did Teleran have the blueprints for something like that? A safeguard, in case Gold is ever attacked. You knew about this? No, it's just a guess. But it would make sense that Teleran would want such a safety net. And now it's likely to be used against them. Ryona steps back, horrified, while Bash puts a comforting hand on her arm. The Telari have always acted in peace. I never thought they were capable of creating such a weapon. Hence why it's only a blueprint, Alyssa says. If Zovek got his hand on the real thing, I doubt any of us will be standing here. We have time, Bash says. We acted early. Surely we can stop them before it gets to that? We'll try our best. It's all speculation at the moment. We'll know more about the situation once we get to Godis. Zane slips his hand into Alyssa and surprisingly she doesn't pull away from him. We'll leave you to prepare. Hopefully when we meet again, it'll be on the other side of all this. The curtains leave us with a final goodbye, but with the rest of us remain gathered on the bridge. I look around at the crew, at my friends, taking in the worried looks and solemn faces, and I feel the dread begin to settle in my stomach. We can reassure the crew or say nothing, and as a sort of leader, I'm gonna reassure the crew. I know deep down that this dread and the feeling of wanting to turn around and run away is exactly what we need to challenge if we have any hope of getting through this. Facing the crew, I take a deep breath, thinking of the words that might give them some hope. That was a lot to take in, but now we have a better idea of what we're facing and what we stand to lose. We shouldn't let this deter us from our course. If anything, it makes me want to take down that bastard even more. You're right, we've come this far, there's no turning back now. We need to see this through till the end, June says. Well said, Kiki. Cal steps into the middle of the room and looks around us at us all, his mouth set in a grim line. I know you're all feeling shaken, but let's remember why we've come here and the task that's been assigned to us. There's no one coming to help us this time, so we need to be ready. Do what you need to do to prepare yourselves and get some rest. Tomorrow we head to Goddess. The crew disperses with a few mumbled words and I head to my station, double checking the route for tomorrow and making sure nothing unexpected has shown up on the radar. When I'm satisfied that everything is in order, I decide to check in with the crew. Oh, we can speak to... Which one? We can either head to our room and not speak to anyone or speak to pretty much all of them, so I'm gonna speak to Ayame first. When I find Aya, she's in her seat at the front of the bridge, flicking through the ship's controls and running some tests. She looks up as I approach, giving me one of her easy smiles, and something about it calms my nerves. Hey, how are you doing? That's exactly what I was coming to ask you. You first. I drop down to the co-pilot seat next to her, my gaze running across the controls as a million and one answers race through my head. We can lie or tell the truth, but I don't know which one is the lie or the truth. I'm gonna tell the truth, obviously. I think I'm doing okay despite everything. I'm terrified, of course, but I'm okay. Your turn. I think you summed it up pretty well. Aya drops back in her seat with a sigh, nervously twirling the ends of her hair around the finger. I've been thinking about everything a lot. Too much, if I'm being honest. I feel better knowing we have people on the ground helping us get into the planet, but for the most part, we are on our own. And I would trust every member of this crew with my life, including Vex, surprisingly. He's come a long way since Cursa. But knowing that the responsibility of taking out a key player is on our shoulders, it's a lot. We can say, yeah, it's pretty scary, or we were chosen for a reason, or we can just nod. I'm gonna say we were chosen for a reason. Maybe we need to think differently. The leaders chose us for this task because they believe we're the best chance they have at taking out Ren. I don't know about you, but that makes me feel important, like we have an important part to play in all this. You're right. You're always right, Kiki. Careful, my ego can't take much more inflation. She chuckles and the sound makes me feel a little lighter inside. So I've been meaning to ask you, have you been keeping in touch with Kadar? A little. They're pretty busy, as you can imagine. Even after all this is over, I doubt he'll have much time for little me. I'm gonna say either you're probably right or he'd be lucky to have you. I'm gonna say he'd be lucky to have you because, let's face it, that is the truth. Ayame is a catch. She was my choice, one of my choices between June and Ayame to romance. So I'm gonna say he'd be lucky to have you. Don't sound so sure about that. Anyone will be lucky to have you, Aya, Kadar included. Stop, you'll make me blush. I'm only telling you the truth. She giggles softly, and a little of the weight seems to slide off her shoulders. Thanks, you're a good friend. With a smile, I lean back against the chair, glancing out the window in front of us. Whatever happens tomorrow, we'll all be together. That's all that I need to get me through. Me too. We let the silence wash over us a few minutes longer as we watch the stars and take comfort in each other's company. I know now that as long as we have friends like I at my side, I'll have the courage to fight through anything. I'd better let you get back to your work. See you later? See you later. Pushing myself up from the co-pilot's chair, I give Aya a last reassuring squeeze on the shoulder before leaving her to the ship's controls. I'm gonna speak to all of them actually. Let's speak to all of them. Speak to Bash next. Hey, come check this out. He heads over to me holding up his palm where I see a tiny clear disc sitting in a small container. What is it? It's a kind of contact lens. I got it back on Laren. What does it do? Lets me watch movies while the captain's giving his boring speeches. This thing is gonna be worth what I paid 10 times over. That's it? No cool combat features? Nah, I figured I don't need any more of that, not when I've got a whole crew to watch my back. He smiles at me as he pockets the contact lens, and for the first time in a long while, he seems happy. I'm glad you didn't change anything, Bash. Yeah, me too. Thanks for asking Kate to talk to me, by the way. He had some pretty valuable insight on the situation. I'm just happy he could help. Bash nods and leans back against the wall, taking the wrench from his back pocket and balancing it between his fingertips. He's a cool guy. I can see why your sister likes him so much. Yeah, they've been best friends for as long as I can remember. Bash raises an eyebrow at me, his head cocked to the side in thought. You sure that's how they are? Friends? Yeah, what else could they be? I just. I don't know. I got the impression that they were more than that, he says. We stare at each other, and I'm so caught off guard by his insinuation that I don't really know what to say. Is that even possible? I have no idea. But why not? Love comes in all forms, all kinds of forms. I give him an incredulous look. Nerissa and Kay, more than friends? I have to admit that it's a strange thought, but that might only be because it's one I've never had before. Bash's eyes flicker to the side suddenly, and I follow his gaze. Oh, if you have somewhere else to be, don't let me stop you. I incline my head towards Ryona, and his mouth drops open at the insinuation. Huh? No, it's just. I don't know if it's now is the best time to talk to her. Oh, look at him. He's so shy and cute. He's blushing. I'm gonna say I think now is the perfect time. What if you don't get another chance? Bash hesitates, his gaze trailing the ground around his feet. What do I even say? Be honest, tell her how you feel. I don't want to ruin anything. You won't, I promise. He clamps his mouth closed and takes in a deep breath to steel himself. And then he gives me a bright smile, having made his decision. Alright, just give me a few minutes to work up my courage and I'll talk to her. I give him an excited pat on the arm, though I can see he's still riddled with nerves. Thanks for the advice. Anytime. He steals another look at Ryona before he turns back to me, rubbing a hand over the back of his neck nervously. So hey, can I tell you something that's kind of embarrassing? Of course. He hesitates a little, and I encourage him with a smile and a nudge on the arm. I've never actually been to Godis. Well, I've never stepped foot on the planet anyway. I've only seen bits and pieces of it from the ship on the night of the coup. I feel like I'm the only one here who doesn't know what to expect when we get there. Bash, there's nothing to be embarrassed about. I can explain a bit about where we're going if that will help. That would be amazing. I shake my head at him and chuckle lightly. He really didn't need to feel embarrassed by something like this. Alright, so we're touching down at the transport hub in the Silver District in Siltavi. It's full of all sorts of ships and aircrafts coming and going. The hub is where all the ships are security checked in the city. It's illegal to land outside of any of the transport terminals, and all the cities on Godis have one. From there, the Gold District isn't far. You can get there on foot, though the train is faster. You can see Gold from a mile away on all sides. The lights are blinding. I recall memories of the city and the times when Bex and I would sneak away from the palace to explore its many distractions. The place is full of color and light. Bars, restaurants, theaters, high-rise apartments. It's lavish, over the top, and everything there seems to be open 24/7. That sounds like my kind of party, Bash says. Usually, I think it would be, but Alyssa mentioned there's a curfew in effect, so I'm expecting it to be a lot quieter than normal. The palace sits on the other side of the district from where we'll be entering. If we're lucky, security around the silver gold border will be minimal. It's gonna be tough, huh? Seeing your home in the hands of the enemy? We can say, yeah, it will be, or it's not my home, or I can deal with it. I'm gonna say it's not my home and sort of play with the idea that maybe the Andromeda 6 is our home, so I'm just playing and toying with the idea. It might be strange, but honestly, Siltavi doesn't feel like my home. I'm at home here, on this ship. It'll feel more like returning somewhere I just used to live before I found where I belong. Wow, I'm glad we left such a good impression instead of scaring you away. You'll never get rid of me that easily. It's a shame that the first time you'll see Goldis will be like this. One day, when all of this is over, let's explore the planet properly, once things are back to how they should be. Bash holds out a hand, and I reach out to shake it in silent agreement. It's a date. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a pretty lady to talk to and hopefully not make a fool of myself in front of. Good luck! Bash heads off to take care of business, leaving me to decide what to do next. I'm gonna speak to Calderon. Hey, Captain. Hey, Stowaway. I step up next to Calderon as he taps away on his holopad, his expression stern, as always. Are you feeling any better today? With a sigh, he retracts his device, stowing it in his pocket before he shakes his head. Not really, if I'm being honest. This rumor about Zovak and some kind of weapon, it's not exactly welcome news. Tell me about it. The sooner we get to Godus and remove Ren from the equation, the better. Cal sighs again, his mind seeming full of thoughts he's hesitating to say out loud. What's the matter? I know what we have to do, it's just that the closer we get to Godus, the more I want to run away from it. If there's anything I can do to help... Thanks for the offer, but I think this is something I need to face on my own. Though I'd appreciate it if you kept this between us. I don't want the crew thinking I'm anything but ready for this. Don't worry, I won't say a word, and I'm here if you need anything. Thanks, that means a lot, he says. He smiles at me before he glances around the bridge at the rest of the crew. You know, it's funny. When Aya and I first traded for this ship, I never expected we'd end up here. Granted, it was too big for the two of us to run, so a crew was necessary. How did you end up recruiting them all anyway? His eyebrows knit together and his mouth presses into a thin line as some past memory comes over him. Damon was first. He wasn't my first choice for the crew or even my second, but we needed work and he had knowledge and experience to help us along. At Damon's advice, we sought out June. He had a reputation amongst the mercenaries and we were looking for someone on some tougher jobs. To take on some tougher jobs. Then came Bash. June found him in an old repair shop on Terranium, miserable and alone, and the next thing we knew we had an engineer. Ryona was an old acquaintance of Sebastian's, one who needed a second chance. I couldn't argue that a medic wouldn't benefit us, and she proved herself 10 times over. You were next. And our meeting was just as rocky as I'm sure the rest of them were. Cal flushes with guilt but fails to hide the smile that peeks through. And our most recent recruit, Vex. I'm not so sure about him yet, but when I think about it, that's how I felt about every one of my crew when we first met. I'm starting to think it's... What is it that Aya says? Oh yeah, a me problem. We can say definitely a you problem, or you are right to have your doubts, or I don't think it's a problem at all. I don't think it's a problem to not necessarily trust everyone you meet, because people can have bad intentions, so I don't think it's a problem. Sure, it takes a while for you to warm up to someone, but you're exactly who you need to be. The captain of this ship and the leader of this crew. I don't think you should change anything about who you are or how you handle bringing new members onto your ship. If you don't stand up for all of us, who will? I think you might do a pretty good job of it. Wow, that actually means a lot coming from you, we say. It is the truth. I see you taking more and more of a leadership role with the crew every day. I guess if I'm not careful, you have my title before too long. Captain Pegasi? Nah, it doesn't have the same kind of ring to it. Oh, look at his face, so kind here and warm. Cal gives me a soft smile, the warmth in his eyes reflecting his thoughts. Despite our rocky beginnings, I'm proud of my crew. Every single one of us was in a bad way when we came aboard this ship, but we've helped each other to overcome it. That's what true friends do. That's what a family does. He puts a hand on my shoulder as he smiles at me. Thank you for being a part of it. I wouldn't want to be anywhere else, we say. With that, I leave the captain to his preparations, knowing we'll need to be ready if we have any hope of succeeding on Goldis. Next, I'm gonna speak to Damon. I find Damon standing in front of a large screen, tracking information across the panel with his fingertips. What are you doing? Top secret things. Like what? Like things that are top secret. I scoff as I narrow my eyes at him and he sighs, relenting with the drop of his shoulders. I'm confirming our passage on to Goddess and making sure everyone involved knows what will happen if they try to sell us out. make many friends that way, or why would they sell us out, or sounds reasonable? I'm gonna say it sounds reasonable because it truly does. I thought it might. Damon turns back to his screen and his supposed death threats, though it looks more like he's checking the map to some kind of security system. So, last night before Godis, huh? How are you gonna spend it? I steal a glance at June before raising an eyebrow at Damon. How do you think I'm gonna spend it? Ugh, wish I hadn't asked. We can say you should get some rest. Or are you going to spend some time with Alyssa and Zane? Or are you spending tonight with anyone special? I'm not gonna ask the last one because we know that his someone special was Alyssa and she is now with Zane, like in a relationship. So I'm not gonna pour salt into his wound. I'm gonna say you should get some rest. It'll be a big day tomorrow. Yes, Mom. Oh, he said, okay. I sent him a withering glare, which he dutifully ignores. I've just noticed you don't sleep much, that's all. Why sleep when there's so many other things to do? Such as? Wouldn't you like to know? He wiggles his eyebrows at me and I scrunch up my nose in disgust. I don't think I want to know, actually. Good, now leave me alone, I have work to do. I'm tempted to tease him more, but deciding I'd rather actually make it to Godus in one piece, I leave Damon to his work. Next, I'm gonna speak to Ryona. I head over to Ryona, finding her attention fixed on the holopad she holds in her hands, her face lined with worry. A pang of sadness hits me at the sight. I know all too well how it feels to worry about the people you love. We can reassure her or hug her, which is hugging her is reassuring her, so I'm just gonna hug her. I step up wordlessly and wrap my arms around her, and she welcomes the embrace by setting aside her holopad and hugging me back. She shakes softly, letting go of tears that have been lingering just beneath the surface. We stay like that for a good few minutes until she pulls back and gives me a watery smile. Thank you, I needed that. I think we both did. So, she nods softly, gently brushing away the remnants of tears from her cheeks. We'll all do what we can to make sure Laren stays safe, Ryona. I promise. We'll stop Zovak before he has the chance to make a move. I'm just so worried, she says. My father would never leave the planet if something were to happen. He's too proud. And I don't think the rest of my family would leave him on his own. She trails off as tears slip down over her cheeks, her hands shaking where she wrings them in front of her. And let's make sure we won't let it get to that. All we can focus on is what we do now and how we can help your family from where we are. Maybe I should have stayed on to Laren. I should have stayed to help my father. No, Ryona, this is where you are supposed to be. You'll see Eldred again. I know you will. Ryona nods, steeling herself to put on a brave face. You're right. I have to believe that's true, or I'll be of no help to anyone. I should head to the infirmary. We'll need supplies to take us with us to go this. There's no telling how long we'll be away from the ship. I nod in agreement before another thought crosses my mind. Ryona, before you go, can I ask you something? Yes, of course. That plant in my room, the one with the pink flowers, what is it exactly? Ryona seems caught off guard by the question and then she laughs lightly even while her eyes are still sparkling with tears. It's called Duel's Desire. Oh, Kiki, it's... She laughs even harder, a pink tinge breaking out across her cheeks. Why are you laughing at like that? It's an aphrodisiac. Sorry, what? So Damon gave us an aphrodisiac? I wondered for a moment if I heard that right, but I remember it was Damon who suggested the plant. Ryona giggles to herself again and again before she's able to compose herself enough to explain. The fragrance is pleasant enough on its own, but if you pluck the petals off and brew them into a tea, it's even more potent. Please tell me you had no part in this. Oh no, it was all Damon. I'm going to kill him. As long as I don't have to clean up the mess, be my guest. Ryona composes herself enough to breathe through the laughter and give me a fond smile. I'm sorry that it's at your expense, but it feels good to laugh like that. Thank you for helping me take my mind off of things. Happy to be the butt of the joke whenever you need me. Oh, it's not like that. The fact that Damon is pulling pranks on you goes to show how much he likes you. He wouldn't make the effort for most people. It's fine. It is pretty funny, and who knows, maybe I'll keep the plant. You should, if only because its flowers are so beautiful to look at. I let out a small laugh of my own. At least now I'll know better than to blindly trust Damon's recommendations in the future. But I'm glad the whole thing has brightened Ryona's mood. It's only now that I notice Bash hovering off to the side and I realize that he's waiting to speak to Ryona. Oh, Bash is heading this way. I'll leave you to the talk. Alright, get some rest. I'll see you tomorrow. I leave Ryona to her duties and take another look around the bridge. And the last person we can speak with or to is Vex. I head over to Vex, finding him seated in my usual chair at the navigation station. He stares at the screen in front of him, lost in thought. So, how does it feel to be part of the crew? I lean against the chair and nudge him with a smile, hoping to lighten his mood, but he simply grimaces. Strange. I'm used to working on my own mostly, though I'm sure I'll get used to it eventually. He glances up at me, attempting a small smile when he notices my raised eyebrows. Honestly, I'm just glad Calderon said yes. I don't know what I would do otherwise. I nod in understanding because I don't know what he would do either. Stay on Telaran and help Narissa, perhaps? Though given that Kay still looks at Vex like he's ready to rip him apart from the inside out, maybe not the wisest idea. I know how that feels, not knowing where you belong. You seem at home here, more so than at the palace anyway. You fit here. Looking around the bridge, I nod because I know it's true. I'm glad you found your place, Kiki. Yeah, me too. I see you've met our new janitor. Damon saunters past with a smirk, ruffling Vex's scarlet hair as he winks at me. Piss off, Reznor. Oh, feisty. I give Damon a disapproving look as he leaves while Vex attempts to fix his messed up hair. Though Damon's comment was entirely uncalled for, it does make me think. What would you be doing around the ship? A bit of everything, I guess. Helping June with the guns, gathering intel for Damon, giving Bash a hand. No pun intended. Might even try my hand at navigation sometime. He taps on the screen in front of him and the LEDs light up to show the map of our location and the surrounding area. At first, I had no idea how to read the thing. I couldn't tell a ship from an asteroid, but now I know with a glance that the space around us is clear of threats. Well, I'm still learning, but I'm sure I could teach you a thing or two. I'd like that. An alert pops up on the screen and I lean over to him in the chair to deal with it. I feel his gaze on my face, making my skin prickle with heat. I'm close enough that I can feel the warmth of him through his jacket, and I remember how his body used to feel beneath my fingertips. Oh. I tap on the screen a couple of times to silence the notification, and when I pull back and our eyes meet, I see my own memories reflected in his. Vex clears his throat and looks away quickly, and I shuffle a little further back. So, how do you feel about Alyssa and Zane going after the doctor? He drops his eyes and shrugs, his mouth pulling into a tight smile. It makes sense. I only wish I could look him in the eyes again and not be under his control, but I trust Nerissa's judgment. I'm glad the two of you made up, by the way. Well, I'm sure it'll be a long road before being friends again, but it's a start. Beck stops suddenly, letting out a shaky breath, and I notice the way his hands ball into fists in his lap. Are you nervous about returning to Godis? He hesitates for a moment, as though he might not want to admit what he's thinking, but then with a sigh he relents. Yes. The closer we get, the more I feel my grip on myself slipping. I'm worried that what might happen if I snap completely. We have a choice here to say, I'll be with you the whole time, or the crew is here with you, or you should let Ryona know. I'm gonna say you should, no, which one should I say? I don't know. We can reassure him that the crew is here for him. The most practical thing is to let Ryona know, obviously, but it does feel like a little bit of a code thing to say. So I'm gonna say I'll be with you the whole time. Again, I don't want to give him any false hope about reuniting because he still has feelings for us. But I do want to reassure him, so I'm gonna say I'll be with you the whole time. If you need help, just ask. I've got a whole catalog of stories and memories in my brain to regale you with. Careful, I'm gonna take you up on that. I hope you will. We smile at each other, an old spark of something igniting in my chest. We can acknowledge it or ignore it. I'm gonna... Oh, should we acknowledge... What does it mean by acknowledge it? Does it mean to just think about it or say it out loud to him? It doesn't really say here. But you know what? Let's acknowledge it. I reach out for his hand and hold it tight, acknowledging this thing between us, this bond that I don't think will ever leave us. His gaze rests on our clasped hands, and I know he understands it too. Reluctantly, I pull my hand back and let him go. Vex lets out a long breath before he pushes himself up from his seat, and I step back to give him space. I think I'll head to the infirmary. I'm not sure I'll get any sleep tonight without a little extra help. He stops and raises a hand to my face, gently tracing his fingers along the curve of my cheek and sending a shiver skittering through me. I'm glad that I don't have to return to go this alone. He heads off to the infirmary and I let out a shaky breath. The spark between us could spell trouble if we're not careful. No, don't worry. I'm not gonna cheat on June or anything. Like, obviously not. Head to your room, and now we get to spend time with June, I'm hoping. So, leaving the bridge, I head towards my room to rest up before our mission tomorrow. The navigation systems are set and the plans are in place. The only thing left for me to do is mentally prepare myself for the task ahead. Stopping briefly at the window, I take a moment to study the view. To one side, I can see where our ship is attached to the space station, giving us access to Astra and its amenities. And in the distance, the ruins of Kitalfa. Astra itself is surrounded by an invisible force field, ensuring the nearby fragments don't float too close to the station and do any damage. I strain my eyes to see if I notice any part of the planet that I've only seen pictures of, but it all looks like a rock to me. It makes me sad, thinking of everything that used to exist here, of everything that was lost. I can hardly begin to imagine how the Kitalfans feel about it all. Being here to see the ruins firsthand makes me want to help them even more than ever. Dragging myself away from the window, I continue on. I've almost made it to my door when I hear soft footsteps behind me, and when I turn, a smile blooms across my face at the sign of June coming towards me. Hey, Kiki, he says. As he steps closer, I notice a hint of pink on his cheeks, the color framing that warm smile of his that I know all too well. You left before I had a chance to talk to you. Oh, sorry. To be honest, I thought everyone would be busy with their own things, so I thought I'd get some rest while I can. He reaches out a hand and gently holds my fingers, his expression turning soft. You should know by now that I'm never too busy for you. Something inside of me flutters at the sound of those words, but when June's expression dips, a crinkle of worry creasing between his brows, I frown. What's wrong? It's just, I wanted to check in on you and see if there's anything I can do to... June drops my hand as he trails off, rubbing at the back of his neck with a sharp exhale of breath. Tomorrow won't be easy for you, I know that. If there's anything I can do to help, just name it. My lips tilt into a smile despite his obvious distress. If anything, his thoughtfulness serves to remind me exactly why I fell for him. We can say, I could use someone to talk to, or I won't say no to some sort of distraction. I'm assuming the second thing is more of a Shrek's type of thing. So I'm gonna say that. In fact, I'd welcome it. June's eyes light up as he catches my meaning, his smile curving up at one side. What kind of distraction? I think you know. He wastes no time in tugging me closer, his heavy-lidded eyes flickering over my lips, reminding me of the taste of his kiss. I want to hear you say it. His whispered words send a shiver running through me, and my body tingles with that soft, familiar feeling that only he gives me. He lowers his face to mine, so teasingly close that I know he feels my shaky breath against his skin when I speak again. Kissing me will be a good start. He doesn't have to be asked twice before he wraps his arms around my waist and closes the distance between us, his lips and tongue claiming my mouth, ew, in a way that makes me weak at the knees. Ew, ew, ew. I lose myself with him, letting him press me against the wall. Ew, his body so warm and solid and good against mine. I fist a hand in the fabric of his vest, pulling him with me as I held the panel to open the door, and we stumble into the room together. Oh, it's all dark and like cozy. June breaks our kiss long enough to remove his jacket and toss it onto the bed, before his hands once again cup my face and he draws me into a searing kiss. He pulls me with him as he sits on the edge of the mattress, positioning me so I'm on his lap, my knees on each side of his waist. We can stop things here or keep going. Let's keep going. I mean, it's it's a spicy scene again. His fingers trail under my shirt to dance up my back, his touch making me feel liquid, like nothing more than clay in his hands. Our kisses become hotter, wetter, more desperate as the seconds tick by, and when he rolls his hips up to meet mine, I can feel that he wants this just as much as I do. Oh my god. Are you telling me there's a bulge involved? June dips his head, treading his lips over my throat and neck, and I press myself against him to urge him on. My other hand slips beneath the hem of his shirt, where I splay my fingers wide and greedily take in the heat of his skin, the muscle of his abs. But then I stop my exploration abruptly, hands poised, head tilted in thought. Is everything okay? No, it's not. I feign concern, pulling my bottom lip between my teeth as I look him over, mischief dancing in my eyes. I just don't understand why this shirt is still on your body. It seems criminal, really. Say the word and it's gone. The word. He reaches up to undo the buttons of his shirt, but I stop him, wanting that pleasure for myself. Button after button, my gaze never leaves his until I'm sliding the fabric over his shoulders and off his back, and the desire hanging between us is so thick I can hardly stand it. We turn it into a game. For every piece of clothing I remove from him, he removes one from me, our hands and mouths replacing the fabric and leaving us breathless. June flips me onto my front, his fingertips treading over the arch of my back and making me shiver, before he grips my hips and pulls me back against him. Can I post this on YouTube? It takes no effort at all for him to join our bodies, pleasure and anticipation making it all too easy for us to fit together. My hands fist into the bed sheets, my breath warming my pillow, voice muffled by the fabric as I gasp his name and drive my hips back to meet his. Feeling him. I'm not gonna read that. No, I'm not reading that. Jesus Christ, I hope you guys are using protection. My knees shaking and my heart racing, beating for nothing but this moment. Afterwards, June lies back on the bed and opens his arms for me to cozy up next to him. I tangle my legs through his beneath the blanket, indulging in his warmth and the faint, lingering sensation that buzzes through me. My hands rest casually on his chest while he rubs soothing circles on my back. It's almost enough to lull me to sleep, and for this small slice of time, it's everything I need. Oh hey, I recognize this plant. I follow his gaze to see which one he's talking about, and I notice him staring at the hanging basket above my bed. You do? Damon was trying to convince me to buy one from the market, though I wasn't sure about having it around Lizzie. It could be toxic to him for all I know, but seeing it here, I kind of regret not getting one. It looks nice. I crane my neck to look up at the soft pink blossoms, my lips pursing when I remember my conversation with Ryona. What's that look for? Well, I didn't notice until after I bought it, but apparently it's rather good at heightening certain feelings in the bedroom. If you get what I mean. Understanding washes over his face before he chuckles. I can do nothing to stop the flush of heat that rises beneath my skin, anticipating the incoming teasing, but thankfully he decides to show me mercy. Classic Damon. Well, whatever they are very pretty. Yeah, they make this place feel a bit more like home. He nods in understanding, but what doesn't change the fact that I'm going to strangle Damon Reznor when I see him next. I'm not sure how long we lay together in comfortable silence, but as the minutes tick by, it becomes harder and harder to push back the worries and fears creeping into my mind. As if he can read my very thoughts, June cups my face in his hand, gently tilting it to meet his eyes. What are you thinking about? And without a sigh, I want to tell him what's on my mind, but I'm worried about it ruining this precious time we have together. Eventually, I decide it's best to just be honest with him. Tomorrow. I can't stop thinking about everything that could go wrong. June's body tenses, only for a moment before he wraps his arms around me tighter. Of course you're thinking of that. It was a stupid question. No, it wasn't. I'm glad you asked. I take in a deep, measured breath before I let myself look at him again. I'm sure it's on your mind too. You're right, but maybe it's best we don't dwell on it. I thread my fingers through his and offer him a smile, my heart feeling a little lighter when he returns it. I agree. Let's talk about something happy, like what do you plan to do after all this is over? June momentarily seems surprised by my question, but his expression soon shifts into one of quiet contemplation. I just want a chance to live a life that's my own, with you, Lizzie, my friends, that's all I need. And just some peace for once. I don't want to wake up every day thinking of the next target. I want to come up with ways to help people's lives, not destroy them. I raise a hand to his face, my heart breaking at the sadness he holds in those soft eyes. He turns his head to place a kiss on my palm, and I smile at him. I think that's what Jules would have wanted for me. I think so too. He sighs again, his head dropping back against the pillow. It was easy to forget all about everything while we were on Tilaran. It was easy to be happy there. As soon as we left the planet, I found myself wishing I could go straight back. He hesitates as he looks away, playing with the bracelet around his wrist nervously. I hope we'll get to go back one day. I think that first of all, we need to make sure there will be a Telaran to go back to. You're right. I give him a small smile, hoping it might bring him some comfort. Have you considered ever going back to Orion? He starts to open his mouth but then stops suddenly, his forehead creased with lines. Maybe, I don't know. There's so many beautiful places on the planet, but also so many memories. I understand. I feel the same way about Goddess. June looks up, something that seems like hope crossing over his face. Maybe one day we'll take a trip together. You could show me your planet, and I'll show you mine. I'd like that a lot, we say. I already know a bunch of places I'd take you. Yeah, tell me about them. I glance to the side, compiling a mental list in my mind. Well, first we'd have to go to the zoo. It's one of my favorite places. And maybe one of the clubs in the Gold District. Some of them have private rooms where you can sing karaoke. Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not a very good singer. June, I've heard you singing to Lizzie before. Trust me when I say you have a nice voice. Oh, you weren't meant to hear that, but thank you. Look at him. He's so embarrassed by that. His little face. I can tell he's embarrassed even though it's true, so I'll move on quickly. What about Orion? What would you show me there? The thermal caves. Caves. They have these natural heated pools that you can bathe in for hours. When I first escaped the facility, I hid in the mountains and I would go to those caves every day. The water felt good on my skin. It heals wounds faster than usual and helped with some of the scarring. He goes quiet, studying the thick, raised lines of skin on his hands. How long were you alone in the mountains for? Not too long, maybe a month or so. I found my way to a city, and from there I managed to hitch a ride to Terranium with a group of mercenaries in exchange for helping them on a job. I didn't know much back then. All I knew was that I couldn't trust anyone, and that kept me safe, if somewhat distant from the rest of society. June glances past me, his thoughts a lifetime away from where we are now. And then he smiles as his eyes find me again, his head cocked to the side with affection. But things are different now. I found people I can trust, people like you. I can't tell you how much that means to me. I'm glad that you ended up here, June, with us, with me. One day we'll visit the places from our past and hopefully make some new memories. And I'm not dropping the karaoke thing. One way or another, I'll get you to sing with me. You know what? I like you so much that I might let you talk me into it. One day. He squeezes me tight with a soft laugh, but then suddenly his face falls. Whatever happens in the future, I just know that I don't want to be alone again. He takes a deep breath as he looks me over, his eyes holding 1,000 questions, though he only asks me one. Will you stay with me when all this is over? Always. You, me, Lizzie, and... Oh, we can say, okay. I've always imagined having a dog. Yeah, I love dogs. I love cats too. So we have an option for a cat. A cat would be nice. Or we can't forget about Bob Moss, which is this, I think it's this rock specifically. Or maybe another small scaly friend. I'm gonna say we can't forget about Bob Moss just to keep things light. June chuckles slightly as he lifts his head to glance around the room. No, of course not. Where is he anyway? Oh, he's around. He sometimes ends up in the strangest places. I think back to finding him in my Isle of Cursa mug a couple of days ago, and only yesterday I had found him in my shower next to a ham and cheese sandwich. What? What? Honestly, either he's growing tiny little legs and scurrying around when I'm not looking, or Bash is messing with me. June gives me a doubtful look, but I don't think he realizes exactly how much Bash loves messing with people. I'm sure he's done it to June on multiple occasions. Does Bash have access to your room? He's an engineer, he has access to everything. That's true. In that case, I think you found your answer. I smiled to myself as we laughed quietly, imagining the kind of future that I'm so desperate for. I'll fight anything standing in the way. So what about you? Besides the pets, what else do you want for the future? We can say to be with you, to help Narissa, to help people, to have a family, or I don't know yet. I'm gonna say to be with you, but not necessarily choosing whether to be on the ship or on Goldis. I'm just gonna say to be with you. Anything else is a bonus. My cheeks heat at the honesty and the vulnerability of my words, but I want him to know. Kiki, he says. He starts to speak, but he trails off, his eyes holding the kind of softness and affection that makes me weak at the knees. Narissa will probably need my help on Goddess, but I want to find a way to make this work. I know you're not fond of Goddess, but June cuts me off with a kiss, his forehead. Oh, I hate when couples do that. They're like discussing something important, and instead of continuing the discussion, they just kiss and like forget about it. Like they just don't want to think about it at that point, and instead of like solving a problem, they're masking over it. I think that's really stupid. His forehead resting against mine as he smiles against my lips. Wherever you go, I'll be right there with you. There's nowhere you could go where I wouldn't follow, he says. He cups the side of my face and I place my hand over his, emotions swirling inside me. I've waited for you for so long. After Jules died, I thought I'd never find anyone who cared about me, but now that I have you, I can hardly believe this is real. I've never been as excited for the future as I am now. Jules smiles softly at me, and his happiness is contagious. Here, wrapped up in his warmth, all of my worries and fears feel light years away. Whatever happens next, nothing can take me away from this moment or this bond between us. Tomorrow we'll face the world again. Tonight is just for us. The next day, I awake with a knot in my stomach and a weight on my chest. And since it's a brand new day, I'm gonna end the episode here. But once again, leave me a comment about what choice you think I should make whenever we're faced with the option to either go on Go This or stay with the Andromeda 6, because I have a nagging feeling that that choice is gonna come up soon, because they have been hinting at it and giving us options to sort of make a choice, but I've always sort of like snaked around it. So let me know what you think specifically, and I'll make sure to read it and respond as always. And yeah, we're gonna continue this in the next episode. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye bye.